All right. And we should be live.
There we go.
Hey everyone, this is Scott with Jenna and Scot Investigate. We had a few little technical snafus there, so we're here. We're a little bit later than normal. I won't say who was to blame, but it wasn't me. But
wasn't me.
But I have the Ghost Sisters here with us. So we got Chastity, Mandy, and Jennifer, and so yeah, let's get started. And that's pretty much my agenda. So how long? I guess we'll get the formalities out of the way. How long you guys been doing this? Kind of what got you into it? That whole thing. If you want to go around the room.
Mandy got me into it.
4 years in October.
How long? How long?
4 years in October.
Okay, and that's actually doing the ghost hunts and that stuff. Because I thought when I read you've kind of had the medium stuff going on since you were a kid. So did you have some?
I've had paranormal going on since I was younger. And so everywhere I've ever lived, I've been dealing with the paranormal. Mm-hmm. And I've always been drawn to the paranormal. So I've always wanted to go on, ghost hunts. So I just it was in 2016, I scheduled to go do a investigation at the Mansfield prison.
Okay.
And Chastity went with me. And after that, I was hooked.
That's all it takes, right?
I knew I was going to set the team.
Mansfield's a good way to get started. Yeah, Mansfield's a good one to get started on. That place is awesome.
Oh, yeah. We caught some good stuff there.
Yeah. We went there, I think it's been 4 years now. We need to get back, though. We went with a public group early on, and it was awesome, just the times we were going there. Let's see. Sorry.
We went there 3 times.
Yeah. We need to get back. Let's see. Hey, Patience. Hey, Carmel. How are you? So Chastity, you basically said earlier that Mandy basically said, hey, you're going to come with me. We're going to start doing this stuff, right? So she kind of pulled you into it. Is that what I understand?
Well, she got me going. There's a lot of backflash. Do you hear that?
Is someone typing? It sounds like someone's typing a resume.
There it goes.
Now? It's gone. No? Okay. I thought somebody was typing to somebody.
Yeah, I was like, holy cow, I can't. There it is again.
That's just a lot of background. I bet you is it gone now?
Yeah, it's gone now. It must be Mandy.
Are you on your iPad or your phone, Mandy?
It's not me. I muted my mic.
Well, it's not doing it until you do it.
Sure. Stuff's okay. Sorry, I'm looking to see if it's in my. That's weird. Yeah, I'm picking up a little bit of echo on that, but not sure where it's coming from. And
that happened to us last podcast we've been on.
Usually, I only have like 2 people. And I'm wondering if because we've got more people, if it's starting to add to that. But I don't know. We'll get through it. I'll talk lighter. Let's see if that works. So hello, everyone. How are you?
We lost Mandy.
I bet you. You know what? I wonder if her signal strength's not that great. Because usually what it will do is whoever has the weakest bandwidth, it'll kind of try to compensate for that and make everybody's worse. So. So we can talk about her now. She's gone.
I can get off and let you two talk because you guys got more stuff than I do. Don't bother me none. Mandy
we'll see what.
No, you're
Jennifer.
good.
What's that?
You can stay, Chastity. It's okay.
Oh, she's back. I think. Let's see here. It's the spirits.
It is. It's all the spirits in your house.
Yeah, you need to get some sage and stuff. You need to get through that. The spirits are messing with it. Jeez.
Oh man.
She must be typing on your phone. You would not know it. Typing on your laptop.
She's back there doing TikTok videos or something.
Me?
TikTok videos.
I'm on my phone. I'm right here.
Now we're talking about the little girl spirit.
Oh, okay. I do think something followed.
You know, that happens. That happens from time to time. Yeah, I feel like that's the nature of the business, right? You know, some of the places you go into, sometimes things get attached, or I don't know, they just come along. We've had that before. Well, that's a great story. So I mean, that's a good segue. Have you had or felt like you've had an attachment, and how has that played out in your
I
experience?
think they come and visit. I think they visit with you if they come from a location, but I don't really think they stay. I think they probably stay for a few days to a week and then they go back.
No.
I don't really think they completely stay.
I think I've heard of some people, like, if they take objects away from a place, sometimes the objects, they're kind of bound to an object sometimes. And if they remove stuff, sometimes it goes with them, or at least parts of them. But yeah, I don't know. I'm more on the skeptic side of the house. So I tend to kind of look at it, most of this more from a scientific perspective. But I also know enough people that have medium abilities, and I've been enough to see it, that there's obviously something to it. So I definitely don't discount any of that at this point. There was a time when I might have rolled my eyes at it, but at this point, it's like I've seen enough crazy shit, pardon my French, that I can't explain. So it's like, all right, well, there's something to it. There's got to be something to some of this. But so one of you was eating Doritos or something, and you got a bag of Doritos that you're hiding, because I can hear that. So let's just talk about, okay, so you said the first one was at Mansfield. Sounds like we bought. Jennifer, have you been to Mansfield before? I
have not yet.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one to get to. Man, that's getting worse. I had that with KD. His
we must have some kind of voodoo something, because it happens on almost all of our freaking podcasts.
Yeah, Patience just chimed in on the chat, and she said the last time she watched you guys, you had this happen. So I don't know.
The last time it was a bigger group. It wasn't just us.
Mandy, try your iPad, because you are fine on that versus your phone.
I think it's Mandy, because we didn't start until she got on here.
My house is clear right now. I know that. I don't have no.
Everything's been cleared. Cleared. What's that? Reminds me of the movie Poltergeist with what's the little medium. Building has been cleared.
Can't say that for Mandy's house though.
No.
Well, while she does that, anyway.
My house got a lot of spirits.
And we're not talking about wine. We're not talking about wine, Mandy. We're talking about the.
We went to the thing, and the next day, she goes and to work, and the next a day or two, she calls me up and says, "I'm starting my own team. Me, you, and Dawn. We're all going to be in. We're going to be in it. Called the Ghost Sisters." I'm like, really?
And here you are.
She's just like, "You're joining it. I don't care. You're my sister. You're going to join it with me." And I was like, "All right, whatever." And it just went from there.
So how many investigations do you guys think you've done as the Ghost Sisters at this point? Do you have a count?
Tons. Mandy, if that's you, mute yourself.
Oh, God. I don't know.
That is loud.
I've done a lot of investigation.
That's better. Maybe.
It wasn't coming from my end. I don't hear it when I talk.
That's weird.
I hear it when you talk. But we've probably done. I don't even know where to begin. How many? Oh gosh, I can't even count how many. It's been a lot. We are very, very busy. Maybe 60.
Say, I mean, you guys seem like you're going somewhere. It seems like almost every weekend. So I see your stuff pop up. It's like, wow, they're all over the place. So, because didn't you just go down to was it West Virginia? You were down there for like the shrine, and is the shrine in West Virginia, that area? Because I heard you talking about
Tennessee.
Doing the moonshine stuff and all that, and
yep, we were. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we are there an awful lot.
And then I think I heard you guys did a feed a couple days ago where Jennifer was talking. You guys are going to Trans-Allegheny coming up.
Yeah, March 27th.
So that's West Virginia, right? Where was there another place in West Virginia you were going to hit right around that same time as well?
We're going April 10th to Sweet Spring Sanitarium with Joel Myers and
Okay.
Carlo from the Haunted Ghost Files,
Okay.
and Pete and Chris Nunweiler are coming with us, and a few other people. And then April 24th, we're going to Old College Hill.
Okay.
For
Awesome.
all three of them are in West Virginia.
Cool. That'll be a good time. That'll be a good time. So you gonna do any kind of Bigfoot hunting or Mothman hunting while you're there?
We have a trip that's being scheduled for Mothman. We're going to also stay in a haunted hotel. And then we are going down to Tennessee with the Moonshiners and Outlaw Paranormal to go Sasquatch hunting.
Oh, that'll be fun. Have you guys ever done the Bigfoot hunts before?
No.
Okay.
Me and Mandy has.
Yeah. How is that?
Yes. We have.
Once.
I'm always afraid to go to one. I mean, like the ghost hunting doesn't scare me. But the Bigfoot hunt, it's like, what happens if you catch one?
That's why I think we're going to do run. That really does a lot of good.
I kind of already look
we
like
ain't going
one.
to catch him.
I kind of already look like one, so I'm kind of scared of that, man. A Bigfoot see me out in the woods, and who knows what's going to happen to me. So it's like, but yeah, we've been talking about maybe doing some of that, but yeah, I know, right? He might like my beard and be all like, I'm his girl now. Who knows? You don't need any of that. But what's up, Ryan? So yeah, crazy. That's crazy stuff. So let's talk about maybe some of the experiences you've had, or the more compelling experiences you've had. I know you guys, a lot of your team, at least part of your team, is based on the medium stuff. And I know Jennifer, when Mandy kind of sent over her bio, was talking about how you can kind of feel objects and kind of get a sense of who owned it and potentially what happened to them, or kind of a history kind of thing of that. So how does that work? As somebody, I'm intrigued, like, is that something that you have always had or felt you've had, or is it something that you've kind of honed? How does that work?
Well,
and I know it's not that easy. It's not as easy as saying how's it work, and you're like, well, Scott, let me tell you, it's do this, this, and this, and this. Because if that was the case, everybody could do it. But
it's kind of on a hush hush situation right now, because we're just kind of, more than several psychics and mediums told me that my energy is in my hands and my tools in my hands.
Okay.
So, earlier in life, I don't know if it was something that I knew I had when I was younger, or just something that came out. I mean, people have spiritual awakenings, things happen later in life. So we actually been testing that theory. That's what we're going to kind of say is kind of testing a theory right now. We have been working with that at several locations. Information that came back from the owner, which was not given to us, was verified that the information was correct. So, I mean, it's kind of like, we go out, find the evidence, we try to debunk things. It's kind of like that with us right now. We're just kind of focusing on this as a team. Mm-hmm. And trying to see how all this works. I will be working with this a little bit, Trans-Allegheny, when we go. We're going to focus on that up there. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's something I've had, and I've never acknowledged it. But since we have experimented with it, it has been accurate. The one location I went to, I verified some information to the owner, and she said I had her in tears because I actually was speaking about her grandmother. So I could tell you exactly what she looked like. I could tell you she passed away at the age of 78. All the information that I provided to the owner was accurate. So we've had several situations we've tested this on that I've been accurate with. But we don't want to put it out there because, we're just kind of, like I said, we're focusing on it as a team at this point to see what the situation is. So, I mean, it's kind of like Mandy's situation. She actually uses her mind. My situation's a little different, where I just have to touch an item to be able to feel anything.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So you don't have any specific experience in the past that made you kind of feel like you've had this. It's just kind of like a recent kind of awakening, or
Well, I was told a few other psychics that they said, why do you always pull your hands back when you touch something? And I don't know. I've never paid attention to that. Maybe I do.
Mm.
But one in particular said, why do you pull your hands back all the time when you touch certain items? And I really didn't realize that that was something I was doing. So after speaking with more than several of them and them all coming up with the same situation for me, we started just kind of testing theory and seeing, is it something that I can do? Is it something that I've had? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, so far, like I said, so far everything has came out correct on the situations that we've worked on, but I'm just still testing it.
Well, it's
We're
like
just
anything.
we're just keeping it to ourselves because right now we're just focusing on it and trying to make sure and that the information can be verified. Like I said, so far it has, but we still want to focus on that some more.
No, that's cool. I mean, that sounds like you're going about it the right way. It's like some people tend to come out of the woodwork, and I'm a psychic, and you're a psychic, and everybody's a psychic, and it's like, okay, maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But yeah, I mean, it's also one of those things. It's like if you're able to provide stuff that they can verify, there's something to it. Whether you can be explained or not, or whatever. It's kind of like even the type of ghost equipment that we use. There's all different kinds of things you can do to quote unquote hunt ghosts. There's ghost boxes and there's EMF detectors and all this stuff, and everybody tends to get different results from different ones. And some people will be like, "Oh, that one's why do you use that? That's dumb," or that's not doesn't give you these results, or this or that. But I feel like it's different for different people. I mean, like I may use something like my go-to is a flashy cat ball, and it's like there's no science behind it. But I've on multiple occasions, like when I was at the Fairfield Infirmary, I put it in a room, stepped back from the room, was asking the questions, and it was on a flat surface. Again, I was about 12 feet back from this. There was no one else in the room. There was no vents, nothing like that. And it rolled a whole full circle, or like rolled this way and lit up. So that in itself's pretty. I'm easily. I see that kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's very cool. We tried to debunk it. We couldn't debunk it. And then one of the volunteers that works there literally went back a week later, went in the same room, put a flashy ball in there, and she recorded it. And she said, "Do you remember Scott?" And the thing went off again. So it was like, that's cool. I'm trying to think where I was going with that story. I had this profound.
And that's why we're like this, because
Yeah.
there's people that are skeptical, and we don't want to put out there and say that this is what it is, and until we are for sure as a team that this is completely accurate situation. So, like you said, some people say, "Oh, I'm a psychic today," and all, we don't want to be that way.
Well, and then I feel like too, there's some people that maybe get, and Mandy may be dealing with this too, but it's like as soon as people hear that you have those abilities, they're like, "Oh, can you tell me about this, this, and this, and this, and this?" It's almost like, when you tell someone you're a nurse, next thing you know, they're pulling their pants down going, "Does this look like it's infected to you?" I mean, it's like you can't get away from that.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, and I got to think there's also a certain amount of like, it takes a lot of energy out of you. I would think it's a very personal type of thing that you're dealing with, and a lot of times even opening yourself up to put it out there and to be able to experience this takes a lot out of you, and even being able to, like, what am I trying to say? Like some mediums and psychics can walk into a room and there's so much noise. There's so much things going on with the people around them. Maybe they're picking up the people's energy or their moods, or someone had a bad day, something like that. The empathy stuff. So I feel like a lot of that sometimes for folks that are in that space, they constantly almost have to be on guard to kind of keep that noise down. At least that's kind of what I've seen on my experience of that. And I don't know if that's necessarily your guys' case, but it's like some people then kind of get drawn to that, you know, when you put it out there that you're a psychic or whatever, and then next thing you know, you got all these people wanting you to almost be like a life coach to them. And then there's a certain, I don't know if it's like a moral responsibility or what, that it's like some of these people, you know, it's like if you give them the wrong information or they perceive it incorrectly, or you just generalize things, or you tell them something that's true, that you're experiencing something that could obviously change them in a positive way, but there's also potentially some things that it could change that you didn't foresee. So there's kind of like a responsibility to that too. And I feel like, you know, some of the psychics I've talked to, it's like it's a balancing act, because you don't want to tell somebody, you don't want to, you got to make sure that you protect yourselves and others. I feel like and maybe I'm kind of off the mark there as not being someone that has those abilities, but I mean, what do you guys think on that? You're closer to it than I am.
Mandy?
Well, I mean, I think everyone has their opinion on mediums, psychics, and empaths, whatever. But actually, everybody can do it. Just some are not open to it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe a lot of people shut it down when they're younger because they experience things and they're told that it's not real.
Right.
So those people shut it down. And the ones who didn't shut it down are still open to it and they're more sensitive. I think so. So I've been hearing spirits since I was young. And it got worse when I got older. And I didn't know what was going on. I just thought everywhere I was living was haunted. But it was just weird. All the stuff was happening to me. And I didn't hear much from my other sisters about anything going on. They would all say, oh, it's just you. You know, I do think some people really have a gift to it because they're really in tune to it. But
I agree.
Others shut it down and they're in disbelief. But when you can validate things that you don't know about somebody, like when I do my readings, I love reading people I don't know. I don't even know this person. And when I start to validate, that's when I really love it. Because it's like, I don't know you, you know?
Right.
Especially when I do live readings. I'm jumping on here picking people left and right. I don't know these people. They're from all over the world. And I'm validating. So, I mean, for me to be able to tune in like that, I mean, I think that says a lot.
But do you find it easier? Do you find you're talking about live readings? Do you find it easier to do live readings like that over the internet or in person? Is there even a difference as far as, I guess, the effectiveness of it?
Yeah, there is a difference. There is a difference because you got a lot of people jumping on. So I'm like sensing their energies. I know that sounds weird because I'm in a different place than them, but it's the weirdest thing. I can't describe it. So I'm trying to connect with this person, and then I see all these other people, and it's just it is harder, but I've gotten used to it. I've been doing this for about, I think, 3.5 years now, so I've gotten used to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is easier when you're in front of that person because it's just you and them, you know, and you can connect really good if you're right there, just you guys, versus a whole lot of people.
Yeah, I didn't know if like the energy is different because with it being two people and that kind of energy together versus basically over the internet, how that plays out. Because I've always been, I'm a computer guy in my normal life. Oh, we lost her again.
I knew it's her. She's where we're getting that noise from.
Her connection does seem kind of choppy.
I thought she was getting on her iPad though.
I kept telling her, get on your iPad. She ain't listening. But you know, she's talking about, you know, I had like when I was younger, I didn't like, I would remember when at night I would lay my bed was right by a window. And I remember laying there and I would hear like a knock on my window and I'd look out, I wouldn't see nobody. The next day, somebody in the family died.
Oh, wow.
That was how when I was younger, it's how I would know somebody in the family was going to die because I would get a knock on my window. It was the weirdest thing ever. I haven't had it no more. I mean, it went away over the time, but it used to happen all the time when I was younger.
Okay. Because, yeah, I was going to ask Mandy if that trait, because sometimes you hear of it being kind of a genetic thing where, my grandmother had it, or, father, whatever the case may be. And she kind of said that she didn't think anybody else had it, but it sounds like you had something like it or something.
My mom could see spirits.
Yeah.
She didn't tell us that.
Well, yeah, she probably didn't want to scare you as kids and all that stuff, but
well, my daughter,
but she's revealed that at this point, I guess.
Yeah, she just told us that like last cookout. And that's how soon it is. Oh,
well, she finally
there's
was
an old
like,
lady
well,
in my house. I sit her sitting there at the chair. I just say hi. I don't pay no attention to her, and I go by sleep. She said, "They don't bother me. I don't care." That's what she said.
She probably figured after having her daughters basically starting a ghost group that she might as well let the cat out of the bag and be like, well,
yeah, I'm like, what? You just now telling us this? Why?
It's like, girls, you think you're the first ghost hunter in this family? Yeah.
Well, my daughter is very gifted. I have a 17-year-old who is very, very gifted. I mean, she blows me out of the water.
Well, and I think too, it like what you said earlier, Mandy, is you as her mom are probably more encouraging of that. Whereas there are some people that, especially if you go back even 50 years, if somebody was saying that I can hear dead people or see dead people, they're either suddenly like, we need to get them to some if you go even farther back, right? Or we need to give you some kind of psychiatric help or something like that. And I think people are a lot more open-minded that there's more stuff out there and more encouraging to that versus it being like, we're just going to dumb you down with drugs, to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's what I said. Who would ever guess we would be where we're at now? So many people paranormal investigate. So many mediums are out there. It's nothing like it was a year ago. I mean, you wouldn't a few years ago, you would never guess this.
Well, so let me ask you that, Chat. What do you think that is, Chastity? Do you?
I think the end of times is going to be around the corner before we all know it. I mean, it's not looking too good. Yeah. But I mean, it's more common now than it's ever. They're seeing more things than ever. More things it's just more common now. People, it's crazy. Well, things have changed too. We're getting things on camera. We didn't have the technology back then that we do now.
That's true.
So that makes a big difference.
I mean, pretty much everybody has a way to record something now with a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, you go back maybe 10, 15 years, that wasn't that common. Well, I guess it's been about that time, yeah. But now everybody pretty much has a cell phone, so it's like there's always a camera somewhere. So no, that's a good point. I mean, same thing with
many people think right now, because of all the chaos in the world when it comes to riots and all the coronavirus and everybody dying, that it's pretty much waking up the dead at this moment. Could be. There's a lot going on that could be, causing issues with them. I mean, there's more happening in investigations. We're locating more spirits. There's a lot more activity.
Well, I think people, regardless of where you land politically, religiously, wherever, I would definitely agree with you that the last year has definitely been a lot more emotional for probably everybody. I mean, it's just been a crazy time to be alive. There's just, we live in a time where it's like, if you would have told me 2 years ago that I'd be where I'm at now with everything that went on, I would have told you were crazy. But yet here we are. And then if you talk to, your parents, they're like, yeah, never been here. We're new. This is a new place for us too. So it's like, it's just we're in uncharted territory as far as the human condition and people just being emotionally fired up, either angry, upset, not trying to understand what's going on. So there could be a lot to that too. Just the whole energy of everybody. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of anxiety for sure. It's just it's a scary time. Not to be all doom and gloom, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Kid pig. Trying to read something. What's it say? Looks like you got some awesome stuff at the church. Oh, yep. Oh, I was so trying to think. Last weekend, we went to Buckeye Charm. You guys ever been there in Waynesville, Ohio?
No, but we were wanting to get in.
It's definitely check it out. It's awesome. We went there. It was me and Jenna and one other guy went, and his name's Ryan. We went there, met the owners, Adam. was very. Adam's great. Adam, if you're on here, thank you, sir. That was an awesome time. We really appreciate your hospitality. We got so they have a basement. The basement's maybe like very small, but it's detached. We had a Boo Bear downstairs in the basement. Put a recorder in there. We were upstairs. So it's an old church, but they've turned into a country store. We're on the far end of this place. So we let the Boo Bear down there for 30 minutes, come back, and you could hear it sound like somebody was just walking on top of the boards. And it was loud, and it sounded angry, like they were pacing back and forth. So at first we're like, it was one of us, and because I never even came close to that area, and I'm like, but let's try to debunk it. So we walked back through that area, recorded again, nothing, and then went back without the Boo Buddy, put the recorder down there again, and kept getting pacing. Still don't know where those footsteps came from. So that was the first thing we got. Then we had doors opening. So they have a set of front doors that leads outside. Then they got some interior doors that have counterweights on them. And Adam told us up front, he's like, these will open and close all day long. He goes, it got to the point where we just block them because they're constantly opening. And so we were in the back area. And I looked up, and sure enough, I saw one of those doors open and slid right back. And then we had another door on the side open up. We had Jenna thinks it was so Adam showed us this picture of this. He took a picture. It looked like a cat. They don't have a cat around there. There's no cats inside the place. It was very creepy. I wish I had to get this picture. There was one point where I was walking around and I felt something brush through my legs. Jenna was at the other end of the building and it got her too. So there's just lots of weird stuff. There's like, at one point we were doing EVPs and I swear you could hear the Lord's Prayer. It was like, yeah. And Adam told us later, he's like, yeah, that we get that a lot, that kind of stuff. So there's just a lot going on. And when Adam first got, because I asked him, I said, when you bought this place, did you know it was haunted? Was that part of the reason to buy it? He goes, no. He goes, I didn't know that. He goes, we first got there. He goes, whatever was here was restless, didn't really like us doing renovations. And I think he said they've been there for about a year. And he said, now it's like we get along to the point where he was calling out the spirits and saying, this is Scott, this is Jenna, this is Ryan. They're our friends. They're not here to do anything. Please make them feel accommodating. And then it was just weird. It was just it's a smaller place, but definitely worth checking out. There's something to it. We got some cool EVPs
like going
there.
To different locations. So
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and Waynesville's kind of got its own legends of being haunted and stuff like that. But it was really cool, and I mean, also it was nice going to a place in the middle of winter that actually has heat and electricity. So that was always a bonus too.
I hate freezing.
Turn off the heat. Can you turn off, especially if the furnace makes a lot of noise? I want to be quiet. So
yeah, no, he'll do that. Yeah, they turned it off. They definitely they'll turn it off for you. That's not a problem.
Yeah, right. I hate when she does that because I don't like freezing and I don't like sweating my ass off.
Well, you picked the wrong profession to be in if you're a ghost hunter, because that's pretty much 90% of it, right?
That's why me and Mandy battle it out. Turn it off. Turn it back on. No, turn it off. No, turn it back on.
I mean, if I'm not sitting in the dark, freezing or burning up, then I'm probably not doing ghost hunting at that point. There's a few places we've gone to where they've actually, it's been climate controlled and been nice, but.
Well, I like to be able to feel like if I know there's no central air running, there's no draft, there's no heat running, and all of a sudden I'm just comfortable in the room I'm in, and then I get this cold blast just hit me and start swirling around me. I know something's up. Okay, I know there's a spirit. That's why I like it. And plus, when you're doing EVP burst or anything like that, you want to be able to not hear all that background noise,
Yeah.
No, yeah, so I deal with it. And my sister, on the other hand, she gets upset, but Jenny don't mind.
I just go with the flow with you guys.
We're sisters, and
she's in the middle of it, right? Just trying to be the peacemaker.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, you're the school teacher, right, Jennifer? So it's like you're constantly dealing with children and their back and forth arguments. So it's not much different with adults,
Yeah,
especially especially sisters.
I work with special education.
Oh, okay.
Poor Jenny had to ride with me, Mandy, and Bobby Joe all the way to Tennessee and back. So that she was like, "Oh my God."
Oh, we had fun.
We
That's
did.
funny.
You know, I got a
Yeah.
lot of sisters to deal with.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but it's cool though. It's cool that you guys you do have siblings in the same group. So I mean, it's like there's a common interest there, and I mean, I guess there's a history there. So you guys, obviously know each other from growing up in that. So it's
Mhm.
like there's a certain grounding too. I feel like and plus, it's blood. What's
Yeah.
stronger than blood? So it's like you got each other's backs, kind of thing too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, she's more obsessed with it than I am. I mean,
well,
I'm
you're
not
the skeptic,
obsessed
right?
with it like she is. She's obsessed with it, you
Now,
know.
now, Mandy, is Chastity the skeptic sister, or was there another sister that's a skeptic? I can't remember.
Uh,
Oh,
my sister Bobby Joe is she's skeptic, and so isn't Candy, my best friend that does. Those two are just fill-ins. They just fill in every now and then,
yep.
but they're the skeptics. So
You got to have those though sometimes because if everything that you see and take pictures everywhere, everything is a ghost, then nothing really is because it's like
yeah,
you gotta find that sweet spot, right? Because not everything can always be,
paranormal. Yeah,
can be a ghost moan or whatever the case may be on an EVP. Sometimes it's gonna not gonna be there. It's cooler, I think, when you find the smaller things. It's the 1% of the 99 that
hmm
is really jumps out because a lot of times you can debunk a lot of that stuff. I mean,
well, and it's like when we do our we do the spray, this mist spray, and we
okay,
we use this app to record it, and we go back and we look for anything that might look like it could be a spirit forming.
okay,
So you got to be really careful with that. It's a lot of pareidolia because we're meant to see
hmm,
face it. So
right, hmm,
so I can be skeptical in that. There's things that I'll see that they might not see, or Jenny
right,
might see something. I'm like, nah, I don't know. Our task, you know, we're all seeing different things. So instead of saying, hey, we see this and that, when we post on our page, we kind of ask the VC and
yep.
kind of just leave it up to them. So that way we're not just assuming. Even if I do think I see something there, I don't like to put it on the page. I just kind of leave it up to everyone else and get their
Well,
opinion.
it's the power of suggestion, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
if you record something and I go, "Hey, Ghost Sisters, this sounds like somebody saying, 'Hey, you.'" Already, I've planted that seed in your mind so that when you hear it, you're kind of already expecting that. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, yeah, a lot of times it's better to just now. If I was to say, "Here's my AVP, listen to this. What do you think?" and you guys come back and say, "It sounds like it's saying, 'Hey, you,'" then to me that's more compelling because everybody's kind of done their own thing. But yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of times you put five people in a room, give them the same EVP, they'll come away with five different things that they think it said. Now sometimes they'll get close, but a lot of times it's not because it's to your point. It's like sometimes it's hard to hear clearly. Now every once in a while you'll get an EVP that's like spot on.
Oh yeah.
Um, I had again I'm the skeptic. Jenna's more into this stuff than I am, but I love ghost boxes. I have this. I think they're cool. Just the common the just
Is it
the
because you're more on the techie side?
yeah. I'm more. I want to. It's hard for me to. I want to know how things work, and a lot of this stuff there's really just there's not a lot of explanation for it, and so it's not that I don't necessarily believe it's not really happening. I just would. It's hard for me. I want to understand how it works. I want to know how it's wired. How it's like, Bandy, how are you doing this? What's going on in your head that allows that to happen? That kind of stuff. That's the
Yeah.
stuff that fascinates me. But so we got a ghost box from Steve Holte. Do you guys know him? He's Holte Paranormal.
Steve
So
who?
Steve Holte, he's out of New
I've
Jersey.
heard of him. I might be friends with him.
So he does a lot of really cool ghost boxes. So we got one from him. It came Saturday. Took it out of the packaging. looked at, and it's like basically looks like a cigar box. It's been repurposed. It's really cool. And turned it on, and Jen and I were sitting there listening to it and dialing it in, and literally within 5 minutes, this thing clear as day came in, said Holte. As we both looked at each other and said Holte, and it's like, wow. So I texted Steve and I'm like, dude, did you do something to this? Because that's hilarious that it would actually be, because that's not really a common name that you could say,
Yeah.
well, over the radio, if it says John or something like that, it's like, that's a pretty common name, but his last name is not common. It's like,
Yeah.
sometimes I've heard mine, and it's like, yeah, that's the kind of the wild stuff. But yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot out there, but that's what's cool. I mean, I don't have a lot of experiences like that, but when I do, it's like Jenna kind of laughs. She goes, "Oh, you're so adorable because you get so excited about it." I'm like, "Well, it's the stuff I can't debunk. I mean, a lot of the stuff I can debunk, or like you said, it's more subjective, right? Because somebody will show a picture and they'll be like, "Does this look like something back here or this thing?" And I'll be like, "No, that just looks like artifacts from a digital camera or lighting or shadow play." But it's more like just the technology, not actually there's something there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what's funny is you talk last names that you heard, like that guy's last name. Well, where I work at, because I'm a corrections officer, I've had spirits follow me locations, and I've caught EVPs twice. I would ask, and I knew one of them had followed me to a location. We were down in the basement, and I had said, "You know what my name is?" And this man came through, and he said, "Metzger," real loud, and that's my maiden last name. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh my gosh!" And I looked at the girl who was on my team at the time. I said, "I told you something followed." I said, "Who says that's our last name?" And she said, "You're right. The only ones that call me by my last name are the people I deal with at work."
Okay. Yeah.
So, and twice I've had happen calling me by my last name.
Hmm.
See, that's my validation that okay,
Yeah.
that's an inmate.
Yeah. When it's more obscure stuff like that, because I mean, you scan through ghost boxes and like I said, John and stuff like that, the names that are more common, or even like one syllable stuff, to where if you think about how the ghost boxes work, where they're sweeping through the frequencies and stopping. But
Yeah.
when you get more complete sentences or multi-syllable words that are very clear, that's when it's gets exciting, because you're like, okay. And especially
Mm-hmm.
when it builds a sentence, because then you're like, all right, now what are the odds that this could just happen, coincidentally? They're too astronomical, really, the odds are. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's, but yeah, I had a buddy of mine, I don't know if you know, Phil Gibson. He's with Heart Paranormal. He does a lot of EVP work. Great guy. Does a lot of thorough investigations, and he did one around Christmas time where he had out there where he was wearing a Santa Claus shirt and did an EVP where it sounded like this little kid talking, and you hear he says, "What is this?" And someone I think it said Santa, and it's really clear. But it
Wow.
was like I told Phil, I said, well, I said, not to be, the naysayer, but you did do it around Christmas time. You're using basically a glorified broken radio. That's a pretty common thing to hear at that time. He's like, no, you're right. So he did another one where he had a shirt on that had Albert Einstein on it, and he said, "Do you know who this person is?" And the thing said Albert.
Oh wow.
So so it was like, okay, but no, yeah,
That's what you call an intelligent spirit's able to respond to you
yeah,
so
yeah.
intelligently.
So you guys, when I asked you, how many investigations you've done, you said a ton. So what investigations, and it can, if you guys all want to chime in on this, which one has really stood out to you, or like an experience that made you just kind of like, either, it doesn't have to be like the scariest experience, but maybe the most profound one that really, really touched you in a certain way, that's like, when you think your top five, this is it.
Boy. Well, um, got my top five, and definitely I will put the shrine at the top for me because I've had experiences there. And at the funeral home, what was that funeral home, Jenny, we were at?
Broadwell Funeral Home in
Oh,
Felicity.
Felicity.
Yes. Oh, that place too.
So tell me,
Okay.
I got to know
It's a lot.
what kind of experience did you have there? Because I was there and I had a really unusual experience there, and that normally doesn't happen to me. So I'm curious for you to say that was a pretty powerful experience. What was your experience there?
Well,
I,
I'll just say, Jenny, you go ahead since you had the worst happened to you, and I'll just say,
I've been there 5 times. I was just there last Saturday also. But our our night was a little different. You know, when you go in with other teams and then versus us women going. So we went a few weeks ago with all of us women. Well, you know, there's an undertaker in there named Carl that doesn't like women. So when we first went in, and it was Mandy, Chastity, myself, and Bobby Joe, we were setting up the cameras, and there was disembodied voices. There was things being thrown around the basement. I saw 2 shadows behind the owner. It was really active when we first went in before any equipment was even hooked up. After we hooked up equipment, we had a lot of activity that night. But at the very end, we had our epic ending. So, so we were done, and we were, you know, we went through most of the rooms and everything. And at the very end, Mandy and I were getting ready to go downstairs. We went ahead and did the EVP and took that with us just in case. Well, as soon as we went down 2 or 3 steps. Weren't very far down into the basement. Well, and you can hear it on Ghost Sisters Facebook. There is actually where you can hear this thing charging you, and it's charging you with like 4 feet, and then you can hear it lift up to 2 feet, and then it charged Mandy and I up the stairs. Well, in between that time on the EVP, you can hear this guy say, "Hey, ladies," and then you can hear this other guy say, "Get out of my home." 2 different voices. One was the "Hey, ladies" wasn't too bad, but the other guy was mad. So our intuition at that time told us either stay there or move, and we both decided to move.
They moved like a bat out of hell.
It was charging us.
Fight or flight mode. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
It was charging us. So she decided to go around the corner to Chastity and Bobby Joe. I decided to go into the kitchen. Well, earlier that night, he was saying that he was in the kitchen. Well, and I'll verify this to you. This is what the amazing part is Saturday night when I was there, we asked I thought it was punched because my eyes were watering, and I didn't put it together at first when it first happened. And evidently when he hit me so close to my eye ducts that my eyes were watering. So what happened, I woke up next morning, I thought, wow, my face feels really weird. Didn't pay much attention. Waited for a while, took a shower, and when I looked out of the shower, my whole face was red. It was completely swollen. There was a scratch down my face that was actually from the inside, not the outside. And come to find out, last Saturday night when I was there with Austin and all them, we actually asked, and he said, "I'm the one that slapped you."
Oh, wow.
So he verified last week. Now, I can't verify which one he was, but it was a different voice than the original guy we've been talking to that kind of sounds like Mr. James, but it's not Mr. James. He's just in that funeral home. But this guy actually verified on the ink box that he actually is the one that slapped me. He didn't punch me, he said he slapped me. But he slapped me pretty hard.
I'm glad it was you, not me.
Yeah, they kept messing with me too. I kept feeling somebody tugging on me. I was like, we even have it on camera, and I posted it because we were all down in the basement, and all of a sudden we're just, we're talking, listening to them talk through the ink box, and we're talking to them. Then I felt something tug on my hoodie, and I jumped, spun around, scared everyone, but it freaked me out because I wasn't expecting someone to tug at my hood.
Right.
So the whole night it was just so active. And the next day when I reviewed the cameras, right beginning.
Oh. Didn't she do this before when she was about ready to tell the climax of the story, and then she went
like 3 times now? That's never happened to her before. She's got good internet. That's really surprising.
Well, we did pick up a lot of different things that night. Try to debunk a lot of it. We did debunk something situations in the basement that were lights of cars coming down the road. But there was a lot of activity. It was getting worse through the night, and that's the thing. It was all women in there. There was no men. So, I think the atmosphere in that place is different when there's men in there versus just all women because, like I said, this undertaker doesn't like women. When I went down there a few weeks back, even before us girls went, I did an EVP in the basement, and he said, "Kill her." So he was telling the other spirits to kill me down the basement. So it's a crazy place. I think the more, you got to think about this. There's hundreds of spirits in this place because it is a funeral home.
Yeah.
And that is all going to be, that's death. So the energy in this place is not going to be good, first of all. But we have picked up many children and women that are stuck in this funeral home that, there's like a woman and a man that are trying to help protect the children from these dark energies. There's several dark energies in this place. It's crazy. I mean, there is this one that has come out, and we actually got him on the direct link that he sounds demonic. I'm not going to use that word lightly, but he has that real scratchy, demonic type sound to him. So I guess it's a funeral home. You're going to have a lot of dark energy in there as well, because there was some crazy stuff that's happened at funeral home throughout the two times it was a funeral home.
Yeah.
And we've had several times through the ink box and EVPs of them verifying the crazy stuff that they did to people in that funeral home. So,
well, and even that whole town has got kind of a vibe to it. I mean, that's one of like at least 3 other locations in that town that have activity, and there's more. I mean, it's basically a powder keg for that kind of stuff.
well,
Actually, I grew up like
yeah.
10 miles away from there, and it's like
You and Jenna and all of us were at a location up there together.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like there's definitely a lot going on in that town, and you talk to anybody that's lived there for a while, and they'll all tell you the same thing. So it's not like I'm breaking the news or freaking anybody out in that town. Most of them, and they'll come up and be like, yeah, have you gone to this place? Have you gone to this place and heard about this? Because like the first time we went to the funeral home, most of us got sick. Now I have a little bit of a personal story there. My cousin went to that town. She went to school there, and she committed suicide when I was younger. So she was like when we were teenagers. So, but she lived right down the street from that funeral home. And I didn't realize that until we actually pulled up to it. And I was like, oh. So I had that in the back of my head. So we all go into the funeral home, and it was a mixed group. And it's partly, I'm the skeptic, and there's some other people there with us that are usually we're all the techie people. And then we've got the more the not feelies. What am I trying to say? The empaths and that kind of stuff. Right away, everybody started getting, it was the strangest thing. And I got real emotional. I felt this really heavy anxiety, and I started having, I don't know if whatever it was there was trying to project my own insecurities about my cousin and that whole experience with her, or what. But I literally had to walk outside, and I took off down the street to where they were like, where'd he go? And I was kind of in my own head, just kind of like, I had to get out of there, I have to get out of there. And then literally walked down the street, wasn't really paying attention, and ended up right in front of her house where she used to live. So it was like really strange because I won't say I lost time, but it was just like, that normally doesn't happen to me. I can go in these places and they don't affect me at all. And then, the one time we were there, Jenna got scratched really bad. From something in the basement. She was above the floor, and she was sitting there, and next thing you know, she's like, oh my God, what was that? And she pulled down her shirt on her side, and she had, like what she said, kind of scratches that looked like they were from underneath coming out.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, so it was like, I don't know. I mean, there's been a couple times. I think we've been there. Has it been 3 times? Maybe the last time there wasn't much going on, but the first couple times there was it for being a little small town and being a small little funeral home, there's a lot, but
Yeah.
there's a lot in that town. I mean, there's like a little church down the street it's kind of like a big storage place now. there was a apartment complex down the street where there was some suicides that had happened. It's just real heavy energy. But yeah, that place is, yeah, it was a little on the creepy side. But.
Well, I'm that is definitely a creepy place, but one of my top creepiest places is the shrine. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there ain't no place that I've ever been to like this place. It's a very unique place. Soon as you walk through the gates, you feel that. I mean, I don't know if you've ever walked into an area where energy just blasts you and you like have a hard time breathing and you feel anxiety. You're like, what the hell is going on? And you feel like you're off balance. It is the strangest thing there. And that place has got a lot going on. We have some stuff happen there. It's one of my favorites.
So talk to us about the shrine. I mean, where's that location and what's it all about? Is it like underground? What is it?
No, it's in Bristol, Tennessee. It's privately owned by the man who owns it. He's the caretaker, and he's an ex-cop and lives there. It was once owned from his family had owned it. He took it over and kind of made it to what it is now. Basically, he is the Shinto master. Okay, he's a Shinto master. So he keeps the balance between things. So like when you walk into this place, one side is for the living, and then the next side is for the dead.
Okay.
And a lot of the yin and the yang. He also has different cultures, like the dragon portal table. It's made out of dragon concrete. It weighs almost 7,000 pounds, and it's a dragon portal. They call it the dragon portal table. It was actually made of different levels because the caretaker, he doesn't judge people on what they believe in. They're different crafts. So, people get to come there and they do whatever they do. He doesn't judge. And when they built that, they had different culture, people doing whatever it was they were doing, come and they grind into that table. They put their little markings and do their little ritual. The next layer would be laid, and then the next group, and then so on. So 7 layers of this, I think it was, and just all different kinds of stuff. And they don't shut the portal down. It stays open 24/7. They don't judge whatever comes through. He has multiple different things. A lot of people send him haunted objects because, again, he keeps the balance between, things. Like if he gets something new that comes to his shrine, he has to be careful where he puts it or it'll offset the place.
Okay.
I mean, girl, Jenny, help me out here on the shrine here. There's so much.
No, this sounds really wild. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty.
Yeah, it's unique. What's your take on it, Jenny?
Oh, it's an interesting place. It has a different type of energy. You can feel the energy as soon as you walk through the gates. It's a constant imbalance. You're constantly off balance the entire time. We normally stay Friday through Sunday, and by the time Sunday comes, I'm exhausted and ready to go home because I'm so tired, because the energy is just constantly pulling at you. Mm-hmm. The haunted doll room is inside of a cave. Cave is all handmade. It's a really neat place.
Bamboo forest. He has a bamboo forest, and he created that himself there. It's huge, and they say it's a huge portal. It's like a big vortex there because his property sits on limestone and water. There's caves underneath.
Okay.
So right there's the 2 number 1, things. It's like an antenna for spirits. So it's got a little bit of everything going on. It's like a big mystery there. Another way to describe it. Because there's not only his family that's lived there and passed away, but it's not just yesterday's spirits. It's today, like now, like new. I don't know how to explain that to you. It would be kind of like, Help me out, Jen. What would you call it? It would be, or Chastity, help me out here. It would be like elemental, like that. Like some
Okay.
elemental stuff going on too. It's
There,
not just
there's things there that have never been human.
yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
And trust me when I say that, because I actually had something manifest on me and it freaked me out so bad. I come out of the cave and I went into this one little room to actually grab a piece of cake, and I seen in the reflection through the microwave, I reached over to get a piece of cake, and what caught me off balance was I looked and I could see this brown thing. I'm like, what the hell? I literally thought, I don't know, a bat or something. It was brown. And I started spinning around trying to knock it off my shoulders. It freaked me out. And then there was a guy standing right there looking at me. And I ran out to him. I said, "You seen that, didn't you?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Mandy, you had something manifesting on you." And I watched this thing. It just flew underneath the table. I mean, I have never in my life experienced anything like that. It was freaky, scary. That place is off the chain. But us girls spend the night there. So we were the first team to spend the night there. And it's also an interesting how I came to meet the caretaker too. He found me. So I did him a favor. So ever since then, us girls have become the ambassador for the shrine, and we spent the night there, and we proved that we could do it. And now we spend the night there all the time when we go.
Cool. That sounds like a very awesome place. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. We haven't said everything, but it's just a lot.
I bet. So, what kind of jumping topics, but kind of. So, what's your go-to devices or things that you take on a ghost hunt? What's your preferred method of catching evidence, I guess I should say? Whether that's your own abilities. I mean, do you prefer like ghost boxes? Do you prefer EVPs? What's your thing? What's your go-to thing?
Well, I love the ink box, and I also like the intercom box made by Jay Prather.
Yep.
I mean, just different things I like to get. I like the recorder too, because if you can get a classic A or B, C EVP, I think it's really amazing to me. But we use a lot of things, a lot of different things to communicate. We try to change it up, but mainly it's the K2 REM pod. We even like the old style, turn it on and off. We seem to get a lot of communication that way. To try to use. We don't really have like one specific thing.
Okay. You had mentioned something about using like a mist thing earlier. So what all does that entail? I think I know what you're talking about, but I wanted to let you kind of go into what that is. So, yeah.
That was handed down to us a few years back. We went to this event, and there was this cool guy who was who had created this this app, and it was new. He only said like 7 people had it at the time, and he was actually doing this at the event, and we were like, what is this? So when he actually did this, I seen this picture, and it was a hand coming on me. You could see this hand coming out of this curtain on me, and I was like, okay, dude, I got to know what this is. So basically, this guy, he built this app. It's got like an obelisk built into it, and it has like infrared lights.
Okay.
He's basically the infrared, and it records. Okay. Say if you just open up the app, it's got the obelisk, it'll start talking right away, but it looks like it's all infrared. So you have to use lighting, really good lighting, bright lights, and you use we use water. We just use a mist sprayer. So when you take the combination of light and water, and then app,
it refracts. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And you could even use it too,
So is it? So it's shooting out like almost like if I think about what the SLS camera, where it's shooting out infrared beams, and are they bouncing off the water mist? Is that kind of the concept? And then it's picking
Kind
up
of
on
like
what
that.
it's picking up on what that is. Okay. And is
Well,
it like I would say is it
when,
like, do like shapes
go ahead.
manifest in it? Is that what it's supposed to be doing, or how does that
Yeah,
like?
yeah,
Okay, okay,
exactly. So when I'm using a mist sprayer and right above the lights, and it's all falling down, and you open this app and it's recording, and when you're recording, you can see falling, and all you see is the lighting. But it is just the coolest thing because as you're moving it around, it's just you just capture different things. But like I said, you have to be careful because of pareidolia. But we
right.
have caught some really, really amazing pictures. I probably say we got about 4, 5 legit pictures that really look impressive since we've been doing it. And some are kind of up in the air. And that's just kind of one of the things, again, where you let people kind of say, hey, what do you see? And you get people seeing different things.
That's cool.
But
Yeah.
that's probably one of the best ones we probably do. Everybody likes the mist spray.
That's cool. Yeah,
Spiritual writing. I forgot I do spiritual writing. I mean, but that's only, that's just, again, using your abilities. It's just another tool that I like to
yeah.
use. Like Jenny's gift and my gift, with our 2 gifts combined. And when we're out there, I think it's pretty neat,
Well,
brings,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's what's interesting, is because with both of you, kind of, I'm not saying your abilities are the same, but they feel like they're at least complementary. How do you, are you able to make that complementary? Like, can you key off each other or
We
amplify each
haven't
other, or
we
does it
haven't
conflict
done that or
sometimes?
anything.
Or okay,
We haven't done that yet, but maybe in the future. But I like to go in and not know much about a place. I don't want to know what happened, who died, what, when,
right,
where.
right,
I want to go in, I sit down for 10 minutes, I connect and I do writing, and I like to compare it during the investigation. Like, oh, that man, I got that man's name in the writing, or what happened to the person. So that it just brings something different that I like to do, and just something different.
yeah. I'm an architecture buff, so I about the only history I like to know is when the building was built, if it's a building, maybe
Yeah.
the art, how it was designed, or the wood was brought from here or something like that. But as far as on the 3rd floor, there's a rumor or legend that the nurse hung herself, or that kind of stuff. I like to leave that all. I don't really like to hear a lot of that, because some of that stuff can't be substantiated, and some of it you kind of hope you can kind of pick up on yourself, because, like, to your point, if you're getting EVPs or something where you're getting names or things, and you have no knowledge of it beforehand, and then you can kind of go back and verify that like what Jennifer said, you can go back and verify that stuff. That's pretty compelling. That's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I came in this totally cold, and I'm picking up on this or this, and there's accuracy to it. That's
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that's like, hey, there's clearly something here. There's some kind of validity to whatever the ability is at that point, whether or not you can explain it or not. There's something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Mandy and I have a couple ideas in mind. We're not going to say anything yet, but we have a couple
Yeah.
ideas in mind how to
That's
work
right.
mine with hers.
you can
That's
do
right.
the
So stay
We're going
tuned
to
do the
work
for
on
that.
that.
do
When
the
we do
super
get it
this
together, it'll be pretty cool, pretty
the
interesting.
super sister powers.
Yeah.
No, that's cool though, because I mean, I'm trying to think. A lot of teams I've been on, there's usually like one person that's more of a sensitive. But yeah, you've got at least 2. So
Well,
I
my
was curious how
sister,
that works.
Chastity, she's starting to tune in more. The more we do this, she's starting to open up more. She's always talking about she feels like children are around her more than anything,
Mm,
or she'll get somebody with her hair or what. Oh, when we undisclosed area Saturday, Chastity was hearing stuff, and I wasn't that man. I'm like, what? She was hearing all kinds of stuff. I'm like, you really are opened up tonight.
That's
But
funny.
it just and it's not always like that with her. When she's tuned in, she's tuned in. And Saturday night, she was really good.
Yeah, I'm kind of Jenna says that when we're in places where there's kid spirits, they tend to gather around me, and I'm constantly like, I can't tell. I mean, what are they doing? And she's like, oh, you can't see that or you can't feel it. I'm like, no, I want that's the part that bugs me sometimes. I'm like, it's like I don't have that, those
Mm-hmm.
gifts or powers. I mean, occasionally there'll be times when I feel like I'm being touched, and I've told Jenna, I'm like, man, I just felt like I got shocked. Like it was just like this
Yeah,
low voltage.
yeah.
And Jenna's like, congratulations, you probably just got touched and welcome to the club. That kind of thing. And it's like, what? And she's like, yeah. She goes, that's sometimes how that comes about. And it's like, huh.
Well,
But that's her
I
thing too. She's like, you got to open yourself
yeah.
up more. You can't, if you go into it totally as a non-believer, if you will. And I'm not that, because I had some experience as a child that are crazy, paranormal, that I still can't explain. Um, that kind of set me on this path. But yeah, I mean, it's like there's times when I'm like, I'd like to see what she sees or what you guys see. And there's probably times it scare the shit out of me too. So it's like, you know,
Well, when they come in the room, I get this convulsion feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and my body kind of twitches. But when
mm,
they get real close on top of me, it's like thousands of needles are stabbing me all through my body. The only
yeah,
bad thing about that is after a whole night of that, your nervous system is kicking up and kicking down
sure.
every time that those spirits are around. And when I come home the next day, my body hurts, my legs hurt and everything, because it's that constant stabbing feeling. And it is kicking your nervous system constantly throughout the night. But that's when they're on top of me. When they're really close to me, I get those needles, and sometimes it can be really painful depending on how strong that spirit is, how high the energy is.
Well, it sounds like spirits don't necessarily have the a good concept of personal space, right? I mean, sometimes
No.
it could be just desperation of, oh wow, this individual can see or hear me. I want to talk to them, and they don't. They're not. And I guess arguably, you could say that sometimes we're not respective of their space too, because I mean, think how often people go into these these ghost houses, if you will, just kind of
Mm-hmm.
walk on in and be like, hey, we're just going to look around in your stuff and make you ask questions or answer questions and do all this kind of stuff. I mean,
Yep.
think about if you're sitting at your house, you're home just chilling, drinking wine, and somebody just barges in and goes, hey, what's your name? My name's Scott. Hey, tell me this, tell me that, and all this stuff. It's like, shut up, leave. I don't want to deal with you. But yeah, that's what Jenna said on some of her stuff. It's like some of them just want to be heard, and they've gone so
Yeah.
long being kind of separate from any kind of contact. I mean, I guess if you think of it, if you were a human and you were isolated, it'd be kind of the same way. If you had
Mm-hmm.
no contact or couldn't talk to people or communicate, and the fact that someone comes along and can communicate with them in some shape or form, they're going to be all like right up on you, trying to communicate or whatever. But yeah, do you find that's difficult? That are spirits typically respectable of that? If you basically say, "Hey, look, chill out," I'll get to you, or I need my space, or are all of them? Are they tend to be more on the pushy side of that? I mean, how do you rein that? How do you manage that? Because that seems like that's the part that would be really tough. I mean, it'd be like having kids all around you all the time.
I
You
think a
know?
lot of those are kids. I think a lot of those
Yeah.
locations are kids are coming up and touching us more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the basement of the funeral home there, not I had one come up behind me and just kind of pull my hair out. I think there's a lot of adults that do that, men wise. I think there's a lot of flirty spirits.
Yeah. Well,
We've had more than a few of those at
Oh yeah.
several locations.
Yeah.
But I think it's a mixture. I think it's a mixture, and sometimes maybe it's a female spirit that just likes your hair. I don't know. I mean, it could be anything.
yeah.
They're just intrigued to be able to touch you, and hey, they're talking to me. And
I think
but
us being an
there's a
all
lot that
female team too, it does something too. You got a whole bunch of women walking into an area. The
yeah.
children are like drawn to us, and
Sure. Sure.
you got the men, And then the women even communicate with us. I mean, but we don't go in. I always like to say we don't mean no disrespect here. We just want to talk to you. Tell us what happened. Here we want to talk to you. Tell us your story.
Right.
But we try to let them know right off the rip. Hey, we're not here trying to upset you or anything. But I do feel, being an all-female team, I do feel that we get a lot of responses. A lot.
Yeah. I think it's the emotional side of it, especially with the women and the children.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, women typically are more nurturing. So from a child perspective, that makes more sense. But yeah, no, I see that. Interesting. So Jennifer, did you mention where your favorite place was? I know Mandy said that she was talking. We got kind of on the funeral home, but
Mine's the shrine too.
yeah,
I love the shrine, and I love the people down there, the elders that they cook us great food every time we're down there, and the caretaker Rick is a great guy, and I don't know, it's nice because you just feel right at home with everyone down there, and they treat us so well, and we've been there so many times, and we were just there with Outlaw Paranormal and Moonshiners. We had a really good time with them. I would have to say it's my favorite. I'm really excited though to go to Trans-Allegheny because there's a lot of history at this location, and over 20,000 deaths and over 400 unmarked graves in the back, and we did get the big building, the 242,000 is what we actually are going to. That's the one we picked, the largest one. It's expensive, it's definitely expensive, but we're going out there with Outlaw Paranormal. They're going with us, so.
We got a whole summer full of events. I mean, this will probably be the biggest year for us girls. I mean, we're hitting new locations. Trans-Allegheny, that's a new one for us. We also got the old College Inn Hospital we're going to. Outlaw Paranormal has a location that we are, I guess we're going to camp out. It has Bigfoot and paranormal. And it's very haunted. This is in Tennessee.
Sorry, I had a phone call coming in.
Yeah, it's going to be a good night. And then we're supposed to go looking for the Mothman. So,
you got all kinds of stuff. That'll be awesome. The only thing you're missing is UFOs. That'll have to be some other time.
Who knows? We might run into that.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what you believe, some people argue that Bigfoot is actually an alien and Mothman. So maybe you're crossing over some of those things at some point. But the Mothman thing's the Mothman stuff's always been kind of cool to me. We did we went to the Point Pleasant. Mount Pleasant. Sorry, Mount Pleasant, and just kind of looked around. The town's cool. Went to the statue and all that stuff, but we've never done the actual Mothman hunt or anything like that yet. But that would be cool.
In May, we're supposed to go spend the night in a haunted hotel. Hopefully, this happens, and we're supposed to go to a location that's said to be very it's a place where the Mothman has been seen and he hangs out. So we'll see. It's something new. But they say the Mothman's paranormal. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stories behind it. He's quite the character. It's like, what is it about West Virginia? There's so many things there. But then it was funny. Someone hit me up and goes, "Man, you live in Ohio. You've got so many cool places to go visit, ghost hunting wise." And I'm like, "Do we? I mean, I know we do, but relative to other states, it didn't feel like Ohio had that many." And I started thinking about it. I'm like, we do have a lot. I mean, as far as places that, for me, close would be probably 2.5 hours away, because I'm down here in Cincinnati, and so it's like, so we got, it's like, wow, we've got all the the stuff in our neck of the woods, and even driving up a little bit farther north, you get to Mansfield, and that you've got all that, and then you've got even over in northern Kentucky and places like that. But yeah, I don't know. West Virginia does have a lot. It seems like right over it, even when you cross over.
There's a lot in Tennessee.
Oh yeah, no, you're right there too. Yeah. We did what was it? Old Pittsburgh Hospital, which was right down there.
Yep.
Hales Bar Dam did that. Did the Thomas Hotel in Red Boiling Springs, Tennessee. That one's pretty cool because it used to be owned by some kind of like cult back in the turn of the century. And then it was known for their sulfur springs, their healing springs. But then this cult kind of moved in and did all these weird crystals and stuff. But that was an interesting place. Trying to think where else in Tennessee we've been. Oh, I was in Kentucky, Franklin, Kentucky. Just did the Old Stone Jail there. I'm going to do Octagon Hall. But yeah, I like going to the South. I told Jenna I'd like to go out west. So that's the question. Where's the farthest you guys have gone to do a ghost hunt or investigation?
I think Brushy Mountain was the furthest I went. I think that one might have been the furthest. We've been both directions, north and south. So, but the longest drive I did for an investigation was like 8 hours.
Okay.
So we haven't been like to New York or Texas, California, or any places like that yet. Now we need to venture. That would be awesome if we could venture, somewhere that way.
Yeah, I'm excited to go out west.
Trip.
Yeah. I mean, that's the problem, right? I mean, one, like you kind of alluded to, this stuff isn't cheap. I mean, you can help alleviate the cost when you team up with other teams and spread out the cost there. But a lot of these locations are not cheap. Some of them are not bad when you get a group of people together. But like you were saying, Trans-Allegheny, if it's anything like Waverly Hills and those kind of places, that's not cheap at all.
And
we've
been to Waverly, and you just about have to team up with these other people, which I don't have a problem teaming up, doing para-unity, learning different things with different people. So
it's all about
too.
It's all about I don't mind teaming up with other teams, but like when it's also about the location too. If you got a small location and you get too many people in there, then it's difficult to get anything done. But like a place like Waverly Hills, you could have 20 people in there and never even see them, as big as that is. So that's not that big of a deal. But yeah, we're going to, what is it? Edinburgh Manor, and of all places, someplace in Iowa.
Really?
In April. Yeah. So it's supposed to be the most haunted place in Iowa. It's like it kind of reminds me if you ever been to Fairfield County Infirmary up there in Lancaster, Ohio, or Madison Seminary. It's kind of one of those where it used to be like a poorhouse at the turn of the century, and then became like a ward and stuff like that. So yeah, we're gonna start heading out west and see what we can do there. I'd like to do more like Native American stuff and things like that. I missed an opportunity. I spent 3 weeks in India, and this was really before I was doing paranormal investigations, because I would love to go someplace where it's a totally different culture. Because you think about the religions over in India, all the stuff, Muslim, Buddhist, and all that stuff, and all the temples and shrines. Yeah. I mean, they took us to we spent time in the Taj Mahal. We went to a bunch of different temples and shrines and stuff, and their list of spirits and entities, man, some of that stuff's scary. I mean, they got stuff that like elephants that behead people and all kinds. I mean, they've got their whole mythology is really, it's definitely not based on like typical Roman Catholic type stuff. So I'd love to go to some other countries and check out their stuff, but that gets expensive too, especially with everything going on. It's not. But I've actually met some people that are paranormal investigators in India. So there's definitely it's a thriving thing. I mean, you figure a culture like that's been around, thousands of years longer than America and all that. Their civilization, so they're ancient compared to us. So they got to have some stuff going on there. But
yeah, we want to go to Ireland and do the castles and hang out with Secret James.
Ireland, Ireland's awesome. I would definitely want to do that. Any place in Europe would be cool, but yeah, Ireland, that's kind of a bucket list place too. Just not only, even if it wasn't to do ghost hunting, just to go hang out there and visit would be awesome. But
that's what we need to do. We need to get with Secret James. We need to book a flight to Secret James over there, and we need to hit a haunted castle. I'm telling you, for a weekend. Let's do it.
I'm sure he can take us to all kinds of places.
Right
now they're still on lockdowns. We have to wait until everything.
Yeah. That's the problem, right? I mean, you might be able to get cheap flights, but you might not make it back. You'll be in quarantine for.
Well, I wouldn't want to be quarantined.
As
Yeah.
soon as,
Missing
as
out
soon
on
as it
some
opens, we'll talk
investigations.
to him about that.
Yeah, that's the
He
thing, right?
he said, of course.
Yeah.
We're coming to see you, Seeker.
Sounds like you're gonna have some visitors, Seeker James. Get a room ready. They want to go to they want to go to the castle for sure.
Oh, we do. I think it'd be a great trip, and I know it's going to cost a little bit of money to do that, but once they open up and hopefully everything gets back a little back to normal, we're going to definitely look into that.
Yeah.
Girl,
Yeah,
that would be amazing. We can do it. Definitely.
Yeah, that would be Ireland, any place in Europe. I'd like to go to Germany. I've got relatives there and some history there. I wouldn't mind checking out. But
Dracula's Castle.
yeah,
I keep telling my husband I want to go there and stay.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't get a little bit too much creepier than that as far as you go in that area.
That's where I'd love to go.
You know, we had this conversation on another chat, and people were like wanting to go to Chernobyl and places like that because if you think about what happened there, all the people dying and stuff like that, or even like Japan, Nagasaki, places where they dropped the bomb, things like that.
Or that
There's
forest. The forest.
Oh yeah, the suicide forest over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be wild.
That'd be scary wild.
There's a lot of places. There's still a lot of places in the U.S. I got to hit first. I want to do. I want to go up to New England. We haven't done a lot in New England yet. Just because that's older part of the country. Did Savannah, Georgia. Really enjoyed that area. The cemeteries and stuff down there are beautiful, and a lot being someone that's pretty much from the north. It was cool to go down south and see like the Confederate cemeteries and their cemeteries seem like they're just so much more beautiful and older. Some of the tombstones and stuff there. We spent a whole day just walking around Bonaventure Cemetery and picking up on stuff. That was really cool. New Orleans, Louisiana. We did it was a ghost tour. It wasn't really a ghost hunt, but it was cool to go to some of those places in New Orleans. Some of the sites there. But,
yeah.
But yeah, that's about as far west as we've got. We haven't made it out much farther than that, but I'd like to go out to California and places like that. Go up the West Coast.
We're looking into taking a trip to California this summer to meet Patty Negri off of Ghost Adventures.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
We're waiting for Patty to let us know when she's available, and once I'm not for sure if they're on lockdown or not. I'm not for sure, but she's such a busy person, so she is aware that we are wanting to do this, and so someday, soon, hopefully.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we're coming up on an hour and a half now. Sometimes I go a little bit longer. It's up to you guys. But do you have anything that you want to talk about to let people know?
Lost Chastity.
Yeah,
she just dropped off.
She was just like, "I'm done. See ya." She sent me a private. She sent me a private message saying thanks for having her and all that stuff. But
that's how she is.
She asked me. She's like, she's like, "How long do you normally go?" I said, "Well, I start at 7:30, and I usually try to go at least an hour." I said, "But I've had some that take longer." And I said, "If you like, me and Katie Stafford, we sat here for like 3.5 hours talking about the inside of ghost boxes and how to wire them." And then we went talk. So I'm like, it all just depends. It's like kind of I don't really have much of an agenda. I just kind of get on here and kind of just want to see what other teams are doing or other people are doing and kind of get a feel for what's out there. But no, it's been cool.
A lot, Scott. That's for sure. We got a lot going on.
It sounds like it.
We're kind of taking it to a new level here because we're going to be hanging out. We're hanging out with the Moonshiners now too, and they are really into the paranormal, and they love us. They love us and Outlaw Paranormal, and this is something new, and it's interesting, to tie up with the Moonshiners because we're in Tennessee a lot, so it makes sense,
Yeah,
and
sure.
They're a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet. As soon as you said Moonshiners.
We're going down June 5th to be their judges to judge their barbecue and their chili.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then there's moonshine involved too?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we
Oh,
had a lot of that a couple weeks ago. It was
yeah.
really good. Snow
Yeah.
cream, and I brought some home actually signed by all the moonshiners, and John Boy signed it. Um, Travis from Master Distillery signed it.
And this is
So
the real stuff, right? That they make up in the hills.
Yeah,
This is the stuff that
yeah.
you buy at Kroger that just says
No,
moonshine on it, right?
no,
Okay. All right.
no. This is the legit. I mean, I only sipped on 6 jars.
here you
Jars.
go.
Oh
This is a
yeah.
This is
There
a
it is.
bottle from them. It's a
Yep.
candy apple. I think that's what Travis said. And then it's signed by everybody. Signed by everybody on the lid.
Man.
So I brought 3 of these home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
got the
Well,
actual apples
potent.
inside.
that's just got bad written all over it, but also awesome written all over it too. Because
It's
it's
pretty
like,
good.
you know,
It'll
no
sneak up on you.
no great story. No great
Yeah.
story ever starts with, "Oh, I was sober," and when this happened. So
We didn't do this during investigation. We
no, I'm
did
not. No, I wasn't implying.
we did the
But
night before and then after the investigation Saturday night. So
But you know what? You're supposed to have fun. During the investigations, you can be all serious, but then you got to have time to unwind either before or after to kind of. So yeah, you gotta
Oh,
be
they
able
had a
to
blast.
decompress. So
well, you can't go down there and
it's rude. It would
investigate
be
with the
rude.
moonshiners and not drink their
Yeah.
moonshine.
Right,
Yeah,
that would be rude. I mean, you're
yeah.
coming into their house, so to speak, and they're making all this stuff, and that would be rude not to partake. So
Well,
I
Mm.
totally
Scott,
get that.
Rick has a Japanese bar, so all the moonshiners were gathered up at the Japanese bar, and they're just bringing out all this moonshine, and I'm like, uh-oh. They're like, here, taste this, taste that. I'm like, oh my God. So I was just taking little sips because I didn't want to be rude, and I wanted to see how good it was. I mean, and
Well,
I was like, oh my gosh, you couldn't taste the moonshine. It tasted just like I was drinking like this mocha drink on some, and one tasted like a blueberry raz drink, Kool-Aid.
and then
Like
suddenly it's like you started with just little sips, but then you realize the little sips are 100 and something proof. So it's like,
yeah, it
yeah.
was good. I was like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I started to get a slight buzz. I was like, oh no, I ain't having no more.
I thought when you said he had a Japanese bar that there was like a contest between drinking moonshine and sake, and I'm like, oh, that sounds crazy. He'd
I
be doing
actually
a
was somebody drinking that. I don't know. There
Drinking
was
what?
sake. She
sake.
said it
Were
was
they? I don't think so. I don't know.
that stuff
They
will
were
sneak up
just
on you too.
No, I don't think so. I think it was all moonshine that night because there was different kinds: pineapple, lime, you name it. They brought it.
Wow,
everything.
that's it's been a while since I've had a bender like that. But yeah, I think the last time I drank moonshine. Well, we won't go into that story. That was a long time ago. But yeah, brings back fond memories from what I can remember of it. But
Well, we learned that a lot of the moonshiners were really into the paranormal. Really, I mean, they were really into the paranormal. So there's been more of them coming out interested in the paranormal. So we're just kind of sitting back and just waiting to see what the next big event will be. We had something possibly lined up at Brushy Mountain again. What was that one, Jenny? With who was setting that up? Maybe.
That one is I can't remember if it was John Boy or Ewok. I think it was Ewok doing that.
We got a lot going on. We don't have to get a calendar. Well, Jenny's been keeping track, writing stuff down because I'm just to the point where it's like I'm booking all this stuff and being invited to go here and there with the girls and it's like, wait, what do we got going on this weekend? And then it's like, but I love it.
Do you typically do Facebook Lives when you're at these things, or do you do videos after, or how do you?
No, we go live on Facebook.
Okay. So your Facebook's pretty up to date with what your schedule's like. Then I'm assuming. Yep. Okay, gotcha.
Yep. We do a lot of updates just to keep everybody informed on anything new that's coming up or anything exciting or, we try to keep up with it all and let everybody know because we get a lot of people that message us. When's your next show?
Right.
What are you guys doing?
So do you is Facebook the best place for people to reach out to you? Is that your primary social platform, or do you do YouTube stuff as well? Or
we are on all social media, but Facebook is our biggest one. Although TikTok's really blowing up fast. We do have YouTube. We need more viewers. So if you're watching, people, please go over and like us on YouTube. We have Twitter,
YouTube's a
Instagram.
tough nut to crack.
It really
It takes
is.
a while. It takes a while to get there.
Here we got like 6,600 something people on our Facebook, and then like 171 on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's like,
hard to translate that. And then YouTube, I think, what is it? You can't even get a cool YouTube URL until you have 100 subscribers. So they give you some cryptic link, and then you can't monetize it till you have like 1,000 people or something like that. You can't go live until it's 100 or so, mobile or something like that, right? Yeah.
Is it 100 really?
I thought it was maybe it's 1,000. I can't remember if it's 1,000 to monetize and 100. I want to say it's 100 to be able to change the URL to something to where you could be like YouTube/Ghost Sisters versus YouTube/1234 whatever. But I thought it was 100 in order to, like, you can go live on YouTube from a laptop, I think, anytime, but to do it from a mobile phone or a mobile device, you have to have at least 100 subscribers. I think that's what it was when I last looked.
That's the case. Jenny, we should be going live from YouTube more.
All right.
And then
we can try it.
Yeah, and then you've got some ways where you can stream to Facebook and YouTube at the same time and stuff like that. So it's that whole followers subscribers thing, and it's an interesting beast how that works, because we have more followers than we have likes, and I think on Facebook that's a better thing, because if people follow you, then they get your notifications, which means they're potentially interested in what when you're notifying events. And then if they like you, that just means that they just gave you the thumbs up, but they don't have any of the notifications, which to me, it's more important to have that, because that's what, you're putting stuff out there, that's your content and things like that. So
yeah, and we do have more followers.
Yeah.
I think we got like almost 9,000 followers compared to what we have on likes. It's like,
yeah,
it's different, but hey, it's working.
well, you guys you're doing something right. You
got to put in
keeping
the time in this field. You got to put a lot into it.
Yep. Yeah. It's not like you can just build it overnight. I mean, we're seeing that on our side, but it's like you keep doing what you do and do what you believe in, and you'll eventually find an audience. An audience will come, and people dig it. I mean, I think, there's a lot of people doing Facebook Live or live feeds. There's a lot of people ghost hunting, like you talked about. There's been a lot of uptick in that. And I think you kind of, if you try to do it to be like famous or make money off of it, you probably should rethink your career choices, because you're probably going to spend more money trying to do the ghost hunts and stuff than you are ever making off of it. So it's definitely more of a passion thing. If
you're passionate about it and you do, then the money doesn't matter.
Right. And that's how
I'm very passionate. And if us girls had a show, I'd retire from law enforcement and I'd go. I don't care if I made $20 a show, because this would be something I would love full time, and I would do it every day. Just ask. They'll tell you. The girls will tell you. I love it. It's just, I've always been passionate about it. And I feel like if you're more into that, then the money don't matter,
Right. No, you're right. It's like, if you get into it, it's like Jen and I got into it. It's like, hey, we like traveling, and we like to ghost hunt.
Yes.
Let's do that. And if people want to tag along, or then great, tag along. We're welcome to. But otherwise, it's like we were going to do this regardless of whether we had a page or not. So
yeah, but if I could do it full time with the girls, oh my God, they say you want to do the job you love, and I love paranormal mediumship, so I'd be in there regardless. I'd just be awesome.
You see, you need to somehow you come up with that paranormal / law enforcement angle. to where you can be like the
That's
ghost,
funny he says that.
the ghost cop or something. You know, you need
We
something
can't
to where
tell you what we've already got in the works, what we've already done, but we're just chilling and waiting to see what's up. So we'll see.
Yeah, unfortunately, people don't want to see paranormal ghost geeks, so it's you're tech geeks. So, but yeah, ghost cop, you might have something there. You might have a spin on that, or even ghost teacher. You know, a ghost teacher or ghost real estate agent. I mean, you never know. You could go around selling haunted houses. You know, you could do. Yeah, it's like, hey,
legally, I have to disclose that if I'm
right,
aware.
you're right. Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
put that on the sheet, right? Because if it's you can't really. Yeah, there's a
But there is
few
a
laws
lot
on
you
that.
can do, and there's so many things that you could do, and we do have a. I'm not gonna say anything, but we do have some stuff that we're working on, and we got a couple things that I can't say, but we are. It's so hard to bring shit up and you can't talk.
We're doing this and we're doing this and we're going here, but we can't say this. Yeah, no, I know. But that's cool though that you guys have got that. You've got those things coming up because it's like people go, "Ooh, I'm interested. I want to see where they're heading." You know, and it's kind of onwards and upwards. It's always keep trying to move forward.
We're always heading somewhere.
Well,
we're always out of state. So West Virginia, Virginia, Tennessee. We're gonna hit some places in Indiana, I think, this year if we can.
Oh, well, yeah, that one.
And Trans-Allegheny was our main thing on our list, but then we didn't think we were going to get in this early, but then we actually canceled something else in Tennessee on the 26th, 27th, so we went ahead and rearranged it to Trans-Allegheny on the 27th of March.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, at the end of the day, life's too short not to be happy, and it's like get to travel while you can, while you can do it, you know.
Yeah,
and
you do what you love, you'll be
yep.
happy.
And especially in the world we live in. I mean, last year it was like trying to travel and all that stuff. It was crazy. And I mean, this year's getting a little bit better, but it's like not what it used to be. But no, that's
you know
awesome.
what? We've never had a problem with everything that's been going on. We've been fortunate enough to go anywhere we wanted to go for an investigation. I'm very, very happy with that because that could have just been all kinds of wrong, you know?
Yeah, especially early on when they were like, some of the states were literally like shutting down, where if you cross over the border and you've got a different license plate, they're gonna ticket you and stuff like that, and require that you're quarantined for 14 days. It's like, yeah, I can't really take that kind of a risk on stuff, but
we sneak in, sneak out.
Well, yeah. I think when we went
I'm just kidding about that, guys.
Well, there's some truth to that, but that's the places you don't go. You don't do Facebook Lives at, right? That's the after video, the undisclosed locations. But,
right.
Well, guys, I appreciate you being on the show. I think I'm going to cut it because we've been on about an hour and 45 minutes. Unless you've got something else you want to go on about, it's been a pleasure. Like I said, I've seen you guys. You know, you've been doing a lot of stuff out there. I know some of we're running the same circles, but never actually got to sit down and have a talk as the Ghost Sisters night. So it's been cool to hear what you guys are doing and all that stuff that's going on. So I'm definitely digging this whole shrine thing. I'd like to hear more about that. That place sounds awesome. Just the zen and the vibe of it sounds really cool.
It's like no other place. I promise you that.
Is it open to other teams, or is it just kind of like you're a place that you just kind of got because, like, do they allow other investigations there?
No, because it's privately owned.
Yeah.
See, like I was telling you, the caretaker reached out to me because there was they had something that was going on, and he was looking for a medium that could read an object or just something to help him because his whole place was off balance, and there was something that was giving everybody nightmares and just freaking everybody out. So he reached out to 5 different people. Well, he was told about 5 people, and I was one of them. And he reached out to me, liked what I was doing, and next thing I know, he's messaging me. And next thing you know, I'm giving him a reading, and boils down to they had taken this sword that was on the table since it was built. So that's how this all started. I helped him. I told him I got an image of the sword that was missing. And they were like, it had been missing off the table for like weeks. and nobody knew it. So once they were like, oh my gosh, they went and got the sword and they put it back on. And then the entity was more pleased. Everything calmed back down. And ever since then, he just loves us girls. And we became the ambassadors of the shrine. So what we do, we do bring people there, but it's not, he trusts us girls.
Okay. I didn't know if he was like, if you know, some of these places have like public
No, because he
things like that.
at the shrine. He
Gotcha.
lives there.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
yeah, it's privately owned, and the only way the people can get in is through us or through Outlaw Paranormal's been going there. They were there before us, years before us, but it's usually through us. We set it up, and then we tell him, hey, so and so is wanting to come. You know, is this date open? Whatever, and that's how we do it.
Cool.
So
very cool.
And he loves it. So.
Well, it's cool that you were able to help him. So did they think someone stole the sword, or was it just misplaced?
No, they had a group that had been coming there for 10 years, and they were meeting there on Wednesday once a month and doing their own little scientific research on the paranormal. And somebody had taken the knife off the table once that table was built. It was there from the time it was built. And you know, if you take something, move something out of place, it can agitate a spirit. Well, they took this ninja sword off the table to clean it, but didn't put it back.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what happened. And it took somebody looking on the outside to, you know, that wasn't close to the table to pick up on, you know, what was going on.
Gotcha.
So I did that for Rick, and he was so thankful, and just we set it up to come and stay, and we've been going ever since. So
very cool.
Good.
That's very cool.
Yeah, he's a very intriguing man, very highly intelligent.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, the way you're describing kind of the mixture of cultures and things is very cool.
He's an ex-cop, and I work in law enforcement, so we kind of, you know, we have a lot to talk about.
Right, sure.
Yeah, he knows what I'm dealing with.
Oh, I bet you guys can do a lot of shop talk, I'm sure, over moonshine. Oh, that's awesome. Well, ladies, again, thank you very much for being on the show. I'm Scott with Jenna and Scott Investigate, and these are the Ghost Sisters, Jennifer and Mandy. So once again, where will be the next location or Facebook Live that they will see you on?
Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum on March 27th.
March 27th. There you go.
We might be doing a residential case before then, because but I don't know if Jennifer will be able to make it, because it's in Bucyrus if we do take on the case. Mm-hmm. So that might be not this weekend. It might end up being next. I don't know. There'll be probably a couple more before the end of March.
So what she's telling you, folks, is to make sure that you subscribe, like, and follow, because when you follow, when they go live, you'll be notified of that ahead of time, so that you'll know when they're going on. See, that's how that works. You can't just like, you have to follow.
Yeah, we schedule a lot here and there, so we're always trying to come on and do a live and let you know what we're doing. But sometimes we come up with things in between the big things we're doing, and that's. Sure. We have a couple of other different ones that are probably going to happen in between, before Trans-Allegheny.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, thanks again.
Pop off. So.
What's that? It's about to pop off.
Yeah.
Pop off. Okay.
We just got a lot going on, and it's just all hitting at once. So we'll see.
That's not a bad problem to have, especially in this line of work, if you will. So, I'm looking forward to it, ladies. All right.
Thanks, Scott.
All right. Thanks appreciate you guys coming on the show, and we will talk again soon, I'm sure.
Okay. Thanks.
Take care. See you, everybody.
Thanks.
See ya. All righty. In the broadcast.